Hello everyone and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, it's going to be our first prediction episode of the year. So you see up on the screen here, we've got the Call of Duty League Pick'em for the opening weekend, the Atlanta Faze home series. I recommend you guys all get in and do this. They didn't really have something like this last year. They had like the bracket prediction kind of thing that you could do, but there wasn't really any rewards for it. It's kind of just predicting a bracket and seeing if you could win. I think they had like money on the line for champs, but for the other ones, they didn't have it. This is like a year-long kind of pick 'em. You can kind of see as you go down here that there is just like all the first weeks, and then up at the top here, they've got stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5. So I think they're going to just keep updating that as the year goes on, and they've got a leaderboard. But yeah, so without further ado, we're just going to get into our predictions right away. I don't want to make this like a super long episode because there's going to be a lot of prediction ones this year, with there being like a ton of games every weekend. But yeah, so on the first day, on Thursday, first match of this year, the CDL, we've got the LA Thieves versus Minnesota Rokkr. This is an interesting matchup because I think Minnesota's probably better right now, but overall, I think maybe by the end of the year, LA Thieves might be better. I'm one of those people that, just like last year, I was kind of on the OpTic hype train with Kenny and Slasher and all those guys, and how much talent their roster had, with especially like going into the year before we really saw them perform so bad. They had Dashy and they had Kenny, they had Tej and they had Slasher, then they had like a leader in JCap. They had such a talented team that I just always thought they were going to figure things out. They obviously never ended up figuring anything out, but I have faith this year that they're going to start maybe slow, and then pick it up towards the end of the year. But I think Minnesota is going to be better to start the year. So I think I'm going to go Minnesota in a 3-1 in this first matchup here. The reason I go with this is because Slasher teams always seem to start slow. They looked pretty bad in the kickoff, and Minnesota didn't look too bad. I believe Minnesota won in their kickoff. They went five games. I can't remember if they won 3-2 over Toronto or if they lost 3-2, but I know they went 5 games. They looked pretty good. And I just think LA Thieves is going to be a slow starting team, and that slow start might hurt them because they may start in the losers bracket of that first tournament. But I feel like by the end of the year, they'll be strong, like I said. I think Priest is going to come out and have a big day. I think accuracy will be solid. I think on the side of LA Thieves, I feel like Kenny and Slasher are going to look really good, but I think Tej and Temp might kind of slow the team down, but who knows. I could easily see LA Thieves winning this matchup because, I mean, with the talent on that team, I wouldn't be surprised if they ever came out randomly and had a hot day and beat anybody. But just for this one, I'm going to go with the fact that they're going to fall to the Rokkr. And then the second game in our opening day here on Thursday is Dallas Empire versus Seattle Surge. I feel like this is a decently easy one to predict. I'm going to go 3. I want to go 3-0. And I think I'm going to go 3-0. I think it's going to go 3-0 Empire. I feel like they're probably the best team in the game right now. I don't know how you couldn't say they are until we see like OpTic play them or like Faze play them and beat them. I'm kind of thinking we have to say that Dallas is the best team. We saw them play New York in the kickoff, and New York was obviously basically a brand new team, so that was kind of an unfair matchup in a way. But I feel like we kind of have to predict Dallas Empire is going to win every match until we see them crumble, especially if they end up losing a match to like Chicago, Atlanta, Florida, Minnesota, one of those other top teams. Then we can kind of say that maybe they're not the best, but until we see that, I feel like we have to keep predicting them, especially against a team like Seattle that may be one of the worst teams right now. I feel like shottzyy and illey are going to take over this game, and Crim's kind of just going to be chilling. Well, even huke. I feel like shottzyy, illey, and huke are going to kind of take over this game while Crim just chills, because this is kind of what I talked about in the preseason rankings as well. You've got Seattle, who has Looney and Prestinni on the subs, maybe Gunless if they're running a third one, and that just probably isn't a duo in Looney and Prestinni that can keep up in the slaying department with other subs, especially when those other subs are huke and shottzyy and potentially illey. I just feel like they can't keep up in the slaying department, and that's going to hurt them. I feel like the Dallas subs are just going to dominate this matchup, and the Seattle Surge are going to struggle to win a map. I feel like they might be able to keep the hard point close and maybe the control kind of close, but I feel like they'll probably get smoked in Search. All right, so moving on to the second day, we've got OpTic Chicago versus Paris Legion. In my opinion, I don't think this one's actually going to be as easy to predict as you would think. Usually, especially last year, is basically every single time Paris played, they're going to lose is what you'd predict, except for that one random tournament they made a run to the finals. They were pretty much losing most matchups they played in. But I have a feeling they're actually going to be a pretty hard out this year. I think they're actually going to be a pretty good team. And OpTic Chicago, I mean, I guess this is their first year as a team, but like Scump formal teams in general, just OpTic teams in general, seem to be kind of slow starters. Not for the year. They start the year really hot. They usually always win the first tournament. Like recently in Black Ops 4, they won the first tournament. In Modern Warfare, they won the first tournament. So they have a back-to-back streak of winning the first tournament. But they seem to start slow in tournaments. Like, I don't know if you remember during like the OpTic Dynasty, like when I was at like my peak fanhood of like really competitive COD, when I really just loved like BO3 was like my favorite COD to watch. And in that COD, it seemed like OpTic was definitely the best team until the end when Envy kind of took over. But during like the whole beginning and middle of the year when OpTic was the best team, like every big like major, like MLG Orlando or whatever they were that year, MLG Anaheim, all those, it seemed like OpTic was always losing like their first or second pool play match because they just struggled to kind of start off fast, like to get in tournament mode. I don't think they're going to struggle so bad that they're going to lose the match, but I think Paris might come out and take like the opening hardpoint or like the opening search. I think it's going to be a 3-1. I could see this going 3-2. I really can't see Paris winning it. I'd be pretty shocked if they won it, but I could see it going 3-2. I could see like Paris coming out, playing them tight in the hardpoint. I think it's going to be OpTic takes the hardpoint, then Paris comes out and kind of punches them in the mouth in search and takes that, and then OpTic takes the control and then closes them out in the hard point, so Paris wins that map too. But the way I could see Paris kind of making this interesting and going game 5 is if OpTic wins that first map and then Paris kind of like dominates them in the search and then carries that momentum and kind of punches them in the mouth in the control, and then all of a sudden Paris is up 2-1 and OpTic has to win the last 2 maps. I don't really see a way OpTic loses this, but I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think. I think Paris is going to make this a close series. Like, it might be a 3-0, but I think if it is a 3-0, it'll all be close maps. All right, and then the last game of the day is Atlanta Faze versus LAG. This seems like it should be an easy one to predict, but like I said, who knows, because we could be underestimating so many teams. Paris might be the 3rd best team in the league. You never really know. LA Thieves could have improved a lot. Surge could have improved a lot. LAG could be better than Faze. Who knows? We don't really know anything, but we're kind of going off what we think based on roster talent, and I think it's going to be... we'll go 3-1. I know I'm going 3-1 for basically everything. I wanted to go 3-0 here, or maybe even 3-2, because last year Atlanta Faze was a slow starting team, and this roster returns 3 players in Cellium, Abezy, and Simp. They were kind of like playing down to their competition a lot last year. They seemed to like pretty much win every series they were in. They were in like every single finals, every event they played at. But I remember like so many times last year when it was like they would start slow, like so slow, and like let teams that they were so much better than just like stay in the game the whole time, and then like eventually close them out, and like it was way closer than it needed to be. It was kind of like that at the Toronto home series really late in the year, like one of the last tournaments when they played Toronto in the finals. It was like, Atlanta's a better team. Toronto was good, but Atlanta was the better team, and it was like, okay, Atlanta, when are you gonna pick it up and like start to play a little better here? Like, you've got to beat Toronto in the finals here. You're a better team, and then like Toronto would win a map and be like, okay, they're gonna pick it up. Atlanta would trade a map with them, and then all of a sudden like Toronto would just keep winning, and Atlanta just wasn't playing well at all. But I think they'll close it out here. I think LAG is probably one of the lower teams on the totem pole, although I do think LAG can win some series here and there. I mean, they have a team with a lot of veterans and like Silly, Assault, Apathy, and I feel like Apathy is going to have a big year. He hasn't had a good year really the last 2 years in Black Ops 4 and Modern Warfare, but I feel like Apathy is going to pick it up and could improve greatly. He's, a historically great player. He's 2-time world champ, but I think Atlanta Faze takes this one 3-1 pretty easily. I think they're just going to dominate in respawns. Maybe LAG takes a search or something. And then, just like they ended the day, LAG starts the day on Saturday in the morning, and it's LAG versus Paris, kind of a bottom of the barrel matchup maybe. If you've been kind of listening to like my preseason power rankings and a little bit earlier in this video when I was talking about Paris, you kind of know I have a little bit of confidence in them. I think I'm going to take them to win this matchup. I'm going to take them 3-2 over LAG. Now, this is weird because I could definitely see LAG winning this matchup, honestly. I feel pretty confident in Minnesota over LA Thieves, although maybe LA could win it. And then Empire over Surge, I'm pretty confident. And then Chicago and Atlanta over Paris and LAG, I'm pretty confident. This is the first one that's really a toss-up to me. But I think I got to go Paris Legion 3-2 over LAG because I think Paris has a higher ceiling. I think LAG probably has a higher floor. Like, I feel like LAG is consistently always going to be competitive in the series they play. I don't really see a way that they just get like smoked all the time because they're just a team of veteran players that are solid players. It's really hard for a team like that to get smoked. I feel like they'll always be competitive. But then when you look at Paris, like I feel like they could get absolutely smoked sometimes if like Fire's inconsistent and Scraps can be kind of inconsistent at times. Even same with Aqua on the main AR, he can be a little bit inconsistent. But I feel like at the same time also Aqua can also be consistent and have a high ceiling. Classic's a pretty consistent player, and then Scraps and Fire both have high ceilings. So I feel like the ceilings of Paris, if they all hit their like highest peak, is a lot higher than the highest peak of LAG. So for that reason, I'm going to go 3-2 Paris here. I think that they come out hot, take the hard point, probably drop the search, and then probably take the control, drop the hard point again, and then they probably take that last search. But yeah, I think I'm going to go 3-2 them. That's the hardest prediction to make in my opinion. And then we've got Florida versus Toronto in the next matchup. Another weird matchup to me because like I feel like everybody's going to pick Florida in this one. But for some reason, I kind of want to go Toronto because I think they're going to be another good team this year. I think this is going to be a really close series, actually. I think it's going to be another Game 5, and I'm going to go with Florida 3-2. I know this is kind of like probably a chalk prediction, pretty much, like what you'd expect. I really wanted to pick Toronto in this because, I've kind of always been like a little bit of a Toronto fan. I like Methods a lot. I really like Cleanex as a player and Cammy as well. I wasn't as big of a fan of them keeping Bance over Classic, but I mean, Bance fried in that opening kickoff event, so maybe I was wrong about that. But Florida looked really good. I mean, Skies was an MVP candidate last year. He's disgusting on the main. Awakening looks really good again. Neptune looked awesome in the kickoff Classic. And then, God, I keep forgetting who the last player is. It's Slack. Slack's a good veteran leader. I feel like Slack's a good fit for this team because Awakening, Skies, and Neptune are all younger players that maybe don't have as much map knowledge, as much game knowledge, and Slack's a veteran that's been around forever, so he can kind of be like a leader of the team, and he doesn't really have to slay since the three other guys in his team are very good slayers, so Slack can kind of more focus on like playing the OBJ and being like a leader of the team. So I think this team meshes well. I think they're going to be probably like for sure a top 6 team all year, and I think they have a pretty good chance to be a top 4 team all year, maybe sneak out some event wins. If they can, I'm sure they'll be at champs, probably in the top 6. But I also kind of think Ultra could be in that top 6 too. I see Florida having a higher ceiling, but I don't know, something about this Ultra team, like Methods is always going to be a solid main, and I feel like not Classic, Bance is always going to be like at least a decently solid like sub or flex or whatever they have him playing, because he used the AR a little bit in that kickoff Classic. I feel like Bance is going to be consistently like around a 1 and solid. I think Methods is going to be solid. And I think Cammy is actually kind of proven that he's a consistent staple. I think the X factor for this team is Cleanex to me. I think like Methods and Skies can kind of trade blows in this match. I think Cammy can kind of trade blows with Awakening. I think those are like pretty even players. And then I think like Slacked and Bance can kind of trade blows. To me, this matchup comes down to the Cleanex versus Neptune matchup. I think Neptune will win it this time because Cleanex didn't look the best in the kickoff Classic. But to me, if Toronto's going to win this matchup, which I think they can, it's going to be Cleanex kind of taking over and being better than Neptune. It's that matchup for me. But I'm going to go Florida because I think the other players have a slight edge over their matchups, and then I think Neptune will beat Cleanex in this first one. So I'm going Florida 3-2, but once again, another toss-up. I think this Saturday might have the best matches. And then this last match, it says it's a double points here for the prediction. I had to click on this before the video to make sure I knew what this was. I was like, wait, they get double points for winning this match? It doesn't seem fair at all, but it's like double points for the predictions. I was like, thank God. Because if there was a random team every weekend getting double points for winning, like double CDL points, that'd be so stupid for standings. But this is the last matchup of Saturday. It's LA Thieves versus New York. I think this continues the trend of it being like a really good day of matchups. Because like that first one, like I said, LAG Paris is a toss-up to me. Florida Toronto I think could be a really close match. And then LA Thieves New York is like a really interesting one too, because it's like two teams that we don't really know where they're at. Like coming into the year with Hydra and Clay and Zuma and all those guys, we thought New York was a really good team. And then LA Thieves with Temp and Slasher, Kenny, Tej, all those guys, we thought they were a really good team. And then LA Thieves look underwhelming, and New York had Zuma retire and Hydra can't play, so like they've both kind of been underwhelming. I really want to go with... God, this is a tough one for me to predict. This might actually be the toughest one. I want to go with LA Thieves because I keep putting all the stock in them, kind of like I did with OpTic last year when they were kind of trash. I still had all the faith with all the talent. So I want to put my faith in LA Thieves and say they're going to win this. But at the same time, I think New York could come out and win it because they played tight maps against Dallas in that kickoff Classic. But I'm going to go LA Thieves. I think it's going to be a straight Game 5 day. I think I went down to the bottom here. I think every matchup that day, all three of them are going to go to a Game 5. I like that they put this one on the double points because to me this is a really tough matchup to predict because it's basically two teams that are unknowns. The reason I'm going with LA Thieves is just purely time played together and talent. I think the main ARs are pretty even. Clay and Slasher I think are decently even. Flex wise, you've got Temp versus probably Diamond Con. I actually think Diamond's pretty nasty. The only thing is it's like his first real matchup. Excuse me. So I think that he might have a little nerves here. Granted, it's not in like an actual event on land, so probably a little less nerves. He doesn't have a screaming crowd because LA Thieves would probably have a lot of fans. But I think Temp will be able to win that flex battle. And then subs, Kenny and Tej versus Asim and Mac. I think, I don't know, Tej is so weird to me because a couple years ago it was like Tej is one of the best young talents in the league. Now like the last couple years it's like, does Tej care enough to be good? Like it seems like he just doesn't care ever. But you know how I think about Kenny. I might take Kenny over almost any player in the league to start a franchise. So I'm always going to put my faith in Kenny. I think LA Thieves is going to win this 3-2. Once again, my confidence level has gone down with each game we picked. The first 4 matchups I feel pretty confident in. And then once it hit this Saturday, every single matchup to me is a toss-up. That's why I have them all at 3-2s. I'm just going to go with the talent and longevity of them playing together of LA Thieves. I think these players, 3 of them played together last year, and Temp has played with Slasher before, and they've been practicing together all year. New York has been practicing for like 2 or 3 weeks together. So for that reason, I'm going to go with LA Thieves over the subliners. And once again, no confidence. I like that they put that one in double points because it's a tough one to predict. And then the Sunday matchups. These ones are looking really good as well. We've got London for their first match of the year versus Seattle Surge. This is a weird one because London, in my opinion, is missing their best player. I think Zero is London's best player. Maybe not in this game, but just in general, I think like over their career, Zero is the best player on London. And he obviously isn't able to play due to COVID travel restrictions. He can't get a visa, I believe it is, to get into the U.S. And play, which really sucks for him. It's like the guy's starts the year in New York last year, gets benched, then gets traded. So he had kind of a tough year last year, and then this year he gets on a team, and it's like, all right, I'm a staple on London, kind of where he wanted to be, and then he can't get back in the U.S. Just unfortunate situation, hoping the best for him. Hopefully he can get here soon so he can play with his team and not miss out on the year. But Parasite is filling in for him. Kind of makes sense because I figure Parasite will probably take over the main or the flex, kind of like Zero was doing. Figure Parasite will be the main, then Shawnee will be the flex, either that or the other way around, kind of flip them. But this is another weird matchup because it's like we haven't seen Parasite at all. He's only been practicing with them for like 2 or 3 weeks, so we don't know how good they are. And then the Surge is like we've seen them and they don't look good at all. I think most people are going to pick London for this one, but I'm going to go 3-2 Surge, I think. This is a tough one to predict. I could see London 3-0ing them. I have no idea how they're going to play with Parasite. But I'm just going to go with Seattle based on the longevity. They've been playing together. They've been playing together for the whole year, and London has a new person in. Kind of the same reason I went with LA Thieves over New York. I think talent-wise, these teams are pretty even. But I think Gunless will have a big game in this one because, like, once again, when you kind of look at the matchups in this one, subs-wise, Looney and Prestinni, not the best slayers. But on the other side, they've got Alex and Dylan, which, the last time we saw Dylan in a Treyarch game, he was absolutely filthy. At times, you could argue he was the best sub in the game of Black Ops 4. And then Alex looked really good last year, but kind of tailed off. And he looked pretty bad in the Kickoff Classic. So I think the sub matchup, this is one of those teams that won't overwhelm Seattle with their subs. I think they'll be able to keep it somewhat even. And then flex-wise, I think Shawnee's a good player, but he's not really much of a slayer. And Gunless is some of the best raw talent we've ever seen in terms of slaying in COD. So I think Gunless is going to dominate Shawnee in the flex matchup. And then the main matchup, it's Octane. Parasite's a good player, but it's Octane. Octane's better than Parasite. So I think overall, talent-wise, Surge is a little better. And then I would hope that their teamwork, is better than London, considering London's got a new player in and probably isn't used to playing with him. So for that reason, I'm going Surge 3-2 over London. All right, and then we've got Dallas Empire versus Minnesota. Like I said, it's pretty hard to predict anything against Dallas until we see them kind of fall for the first time. So I'm going to throw Dallas with 3 and Minnesota with 1 on this one. I think Minnesota is a really good team, and I think that they could beat Dallas at points this year. I think as we go along in the year, maybe Minnesota will be right there on the level with Dallas, but I think at least to start the year, Dallas seems like they're going to be a pretty fast starting team. In Minnesota, we still have some question marks about. We saw them play a tough matchup against Toronto, but they didn't blow them out by any means. And I think Minnesota has an easier matchup in day one, and also Minnesota plays Thursday and then doesn't play until Sunday. So it might be tough to get scrims in. I mean, I'm sure Minnesota can probably get scrims in with like London and like Seattle, probably, just looking at the days they play. I'm sure they don't want to scrim Dallas because they don't want to scrim ahead of their matchup, but like London only plays Sunday, so I'm sure Minnesota could scrim them. And then Seattle plays on the same day as Minnesota on Thursday, doesn't play till Sunday, so they could probably scrim them as well. But it might be a little tough to get practice in against good teams if they're playing London and Seattle all the time. So I think Dallas is going to take this one. I mean, pretty much you're never going to see me picking against Dallas too much unless they're playing like Atlanta, Chicago, or sometimes Minnesota, depending on how Minnesota looks. But like I said, for this first event, there aren't as many bowl predictions you can really make, in my opinion. You usually kind of just pick with who you think the better team is, and then live and die by it. Now, that might screw you over because, I mean, this is the last time we saw these teams 2 weeks ago in the Kickoff Classic. I'm kind of picking by who I think was better or who had more potential, but a lot of this could have flipped and this could all be wrong. I mean, that was only one match we saw at one time. Somebody could have had connection issues or somebody could have just not been on their game that day. So we might not even know who all these good teams are. We might be completely wrong on that. But I just think, once again, the subs of Dallas, I think shottzyy and huke are too much. I think illey might be the best flex in the game, so I just think Dallas is going to take it. And then in the last matchup of the day, it's another double points. And then it's that game fuel marquee matchup like we saw last year. Faze and OpTic. Not shocked they put this here on the first weekend because of the fact that, I mean, Faze, OpTic, kind of the two biggest brands. Maybe not with illey Thieves in here anymore, but it's a matchup everybody wanted last year. It's another tough one to predict because both teams, obviously, probably top 4 teams. Atlanta looked a little shaky in the Kickoff Classic. Granted, they were playing Florida, who's a very good team, and OpTic looked not shaky at all in the Kickoff Classic. They dominated LA Thieves. It's a weird one to predict. I think it'll probably be a Game 5 or a 3-0. That sounds weird, but I don't see the way this goes 3-1 and is a somewhat close series. If you remember last year, the first time they finally played like really late in the year, it was Huntsmen versus Faze, and Huntsmen absolutely dominated them. Like I said earlier, OpTic teams, Scump formal teams tend to start kind of slow in tournaments, but this is Sunday. They seem to pick it up on Sunday. Faze, same thing. They seem to kind of start slow when they play down to their competition. They always made things go to Game 5s when they didn't need to. I think I'm going to go with OpTic, and I want to say 3-0 so bad as a bold prediction, but I'm going to go 3-2 and be safe because out of respect to Atlanta. I could see Atlanta winning this series very easily at anything. Like I said, I really think it's either going to be a 3-0 or a 3-2, though. I don't think it's going to end 3-1 either way. This is another toss-up matchup. That's why it's good they put it in the double points, because it's one that, you don't really know which way it's going to go. But I do believe OpTic's going to take it. They looked better in the Kickoff Classic. Granted, Faze was playing Florida, who's a really good team, and OpTic was playing LA Thieves, who we don't know. Maybe OpTic's really that good, and LA Thieves is actually good. They were just that much better. But OpTic did look a lot better in the Kickoff Classic. And that's about all we have to go off of is that first matchup they played. I think Faze is super good. I think Faze still might win it all this year. This is one matchup. This is one regular season matchup. Kind of the primetime, the marquee matchup as the weekend, as they're saying. And I just think OpTic's going to be able to take it 3-2. I think right now OpTic is the better team. I don't know. It just seems like last year with Huntsmen and then the year before in Black Ops 4 with OpTic, like whenever Scump is on a team and like his teams, they all kind of have the same makeup. They have a lot of the similar players. They have Dashy on this team just like they had in Black Ops 4. It seems like his teams just start out really, really fast. And I don't know what it is, if they just like lose motivation or they get complacent, or they're just faster at learning the game and teams catch up. They just seem to be faster in the beginning of the year at picking things up, and they always play better. Like in that Black Ops 4 first event, Dashy had like a 2 KD on control. He just dominated. Scump was really good. Like everybody was just playing insane. And then even last year, they dominated that Minnesota opening event, and then they won the next event. The only thing I could see changing that is this year the season is starting a lot later. We're not starting until February. And usually like that first event in Black Ops 4 was in December. Then last year the first event was in the end of January. So it's like teams that started out slower maybe had a little more time to learn, and they'll catch up to them faster by the time the first event rolls around. But I don't know. I just think that Dashy's going to come out really hot. I think Scump's going to come out really hot. I think they're going to be really motivated to show them who's boss in this matchup and kind of try to take over that number 1 spot. And then I think our power rankings after week 1 might put like Dallas 1, OpTic 2, and Faze 3. We might have like a little flip in the top because most people have it as Dallas Faze OpTic, or even Dallas Faze Florida and then OpTic. But I think OpTic's just going to come out hot like they normally do, and they're going to win this matchup. So there you have it. Kind of a longer video than I intended for predictions. But there's all the predictions out there. I only predicted 1 3-0, so that's probably wrong. There's going to be a lot more. I predicted a lot of 3-2s because in this first weekend, it's a lot harder to go bold with 3-0s, and we really don't know a lot about the teams. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one, for these predictions. League play's out. I'm recording this the day after league play came out. I just saw on Twitter too, right before I hit start recording, that they made a lot of changes, which is super good. Obviously, league play is underwhelming, disappointing, pretty bad to say the least. But it looks like they made a lot of changes. They banned like suppressors, a bunch of the streaks. The task force barrel, a lot of barrels, jammers, stuff like that, Molotovs that needed to be banned, which is good that they acted on that right away and didn't just wait forever. Once again, I'm not going to praise them for it because it should have been done right away. The system sucks. The ranking, there's not even a real ranking. You're putting some random Bravo Delta 9 division. That, I mean, who knows what it is? You're placing a random. I mean, in my placement matches, the people I was playing with, the 4 of us, we all went 5-0 and like destroyed every map. We like didn't drop around in search, didn't drop around in control. Won like 250-50 in our hardpoint we played, and we all got placed in competitor. I saw Awakening had like a 10 KD in his qualifiers. He got placed in competitor. Like the ranking system makes no sense. But I saw like Salvation's Elite, Crim, all those guys kind of reaching out to Vonderhaar on Twitter, and Vonderhaar like acknowledged that like World War II was the best system and stuff. And I mean, I don't know how. Vonderhaar's a smart guy. I don't know how he didn't know that, because I mean, obviously an elo system in a ranked like Overwatch has is the best, where it's like you have a specific number you're ranked at. If you win, you get this many points. If you lose, you get this many points, and then this number to this number is bronze, and then silver, and then gold, and then platinum, and diamond. And like, that's a pretty simple thing to understand. That's what people want. They want to be able to climb ranks. That's what people like doing in everything. They like climbing up the ranks in whatever they do. But yeah, I mean, league play overall disappointing. I like to see that they made changes right away in restricting a lot of items. Now they just got to restrict overkill, because it is OP to be able to run around with a 5 attachment gun and have a sniper on your back. But I mean, hey, I guess people are just going to use it. And the RC is OP. I never used an RC in this game. I didn't realize how OP it is, because if you have flak jacket, no matter what, if the thing explodes next to you, you die. So RC is OP. That needs to be banned as well. But I see Vonderhaar listening to people talking about the math behind things in an elo system. So I hope, honestly, maybe they're really considering putting an elo system. It probably would take like a month or 2 to implement it, but honestly, even if we got it in a couple months, I'd be pretty happy, just so we have more of a real thing to grind for. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed. Comment down below your predictions. I'd love to see them. Yeah, I think that's about it. I had a lot of fun doing this. I really miss doing the predictions. You guys know, if you've heard me talking in the videos kind of over the summer and over the off season and stuff, I've just been missing doing predictions and reactions to the weekend. So it was really good to sit down and do this. I was super excited to do it. Kind of wanted to wait till closer if we got any news on teams. Wanted to hear for sure that Parasite was on the team and stuff, so for the London matchup. But yeah, I had a ton of fun doing this. Like I said, be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. We're almost at 200. And then comment down below your predictions as well. That's going to do it. This was Ryan with the CDL podcast. I'll see you guys. Have fun watching them this weekend. I'm really excited to watch the matchups. I'm sure you guys are too, so have fun doing that. I'll see you in the next one, probably after the weekend, for a reaction to them. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for watching.